You've tuned into another edition of The Break Room, a weekly conversation about how the City of St. Augustine works from those who do the work every day. Hosted by the City of St. Augustine's Communications Director, Melissa Whistle, The Break Room offers a closer look at the different city departments and provides updates on current and upcoming projects and events. And now, your host, Melissa Whistle.
Welcome to The Break Room. Thank you for joining us. I'm Melissa Whistle, Communications Director for the City of St. Augustine. In March of 2020, at the start of the coronavirus pandemic, City of St. Augustine did something that at the time seemed like a very drastic measure. The city canceled 3 major festivals: Rotary's Rhythm and Ribs, Lion Seafood Festival, and the Celtic Festival, as well as canceled the St. Patrick's Day Parade and all of the free park and ride shuttle services for those events. At the time, it was quite devastating, but looking back, was quite an extremely smart and forward-thinking decision given all that would transpire over the following months. As the pandemic has unfolded, the city ultimately suspended all permitting and its special events, including concerts in the Plaza and even 4th of July's fireworks over the Matanzas celebration. I suppose you could say it's been somewhat of an uneventful year. But as we are seeing things return to a new normal, the City Commission has voted unanimously to lift the moratorium on permitting special events. So in studio this week, I have the pleasure of talking with the city's event and venue coordinator, Kimberly Mayo. Kim, welcome back to the Break Room.
Thanks, Melissa.
So give us a recap, looking back on all that came up so quickly last year when COVID hit. It really happened within a matter of days after the declared emergency. Things started shutting down. City manager made some executive decisions to cancel events. Tell us how that was for you.
Well, it was pretty dramatic because, it impacted a lot of events, of course, being the Celtic Festival and the St. Patrick's Parade. They had already started their planning. They had already started putting things on the field. So it was really difficult for them to have had the event canceled when it was canceled. But the city had to do it in order to maintain a safe city and keep the visitors to those events safe. So it wasn't a popular decision.
Right.
I think in the long run, though, it proved worthwhile.
Right.
People were upset.
Sure.
They were upset at first. I think everybody had hoped that the pandemic was just a quick little event and would go away and not leave over a year's impact.
Right.
Now we're at a year's point. But we are able to move forward this year, and I think we're in a good position to do these safely.
And so now you had a lot of phone calls over the winter. People, what's happening? And you're in a hard position because you can't make the decision, and we have to wait and see.
Right. It was a tough position because everybody wanted answers. They wanted to know, are we having spring events? How can we plan? Not only the coordinators of the events, but the public. They wanted to know, should we come to St. Augustine for spring break? What festivals are going on? And unfortunately, we don't have any festivals going on this week, which is our county's spring break week.
Tell us about, I know some events canceled in advance because they just really were up against the calendar, but now we do have an open opportunity as we come into spring and summer. People are trying to schedule. How's that working?
Some are trying to schedule. It is difficult for some of our smaller events because they have to generate funds to have their events. They don't have a slush fund if they're a newer event. They've wanted to reschedule, but unfortunately our calendar doesn't allot that because according to ordinance 2018-13, the county commission decided that we would limit back-to-back events and we would limit blockout or events in a blockout period based on our busier times of year. So that's impacted events that still wanted to go this year but wanted a new date, and there just aren't enough non-back-to-back weekends in a calendar year to accommodate everybody.
What are we seeing? We've had some rescheduling, and we did have some cancellations this year. We're not having the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Celtic. Tell us, those big festivals that everybody does look forward to, Rhythm and Ribs, are they coming back?
Rhythm and Ribs is coming back. They did go to our city commission, and they got approval to move their event permanently. They were in a position, I think this is a win-win for them and the city. They moved out of our busiest time of the year, and they've moved to the fall. Although the fall is popular, it's not as busy as the spring. They also moved every year because they moved to accommodate another event that preferred Palm Sunday weekend.
Gotcha.
As we know, Palm Sunday is not the same time every year. So it was tough for these events to not have a confirmed weekend every year. So that was one of the benefits to Rhythm and Ribs for them to move to the fall.
So they're in October.
They are, third week in October now.
Okay. And we're not going to see Lion Seafood and Celtic this year at this time.
They decided they needed more planning.
Okay.
We just didn't give them enough time, and not by any particular reason. It's just
Understandably.
that's when the commission decided that we would allow events to go forward. They needed months to be able to plan and get their vendors in place.
Right. So we're hoping they'll be back next year.
We are.
Okay. And we do have some other events that are still happening, though, that folks can look forward to. And this isn't just Francis Field. We've got something down on the Bayfront. Can you tell us what we have to look forward to?
So we do have some events coming up. The first one on Francis Field this year will be the Old Town Art Show. They come every year on Palm Sunday weekend, and they're March 27th and 28th. Blessing of the Fleet, a local popular event where boats get blessed by the bishop, and that is March 27th. And that'll happen on the marina
Down on the
property.
Bayfront. Great.
Yes. Good Friday Reflections is done by Coquina Church, and they come to the gazebo every year and do the story of Easter
Great.
with music.
Okay.
Race Week's going to happen this year as well. Also down on the Bayfront, it's a week worth of events that go on, and I would suggest going to their website and learning more information. Sure. A few other events did cancel because they needed more time, but there will be an Alligator Farm Raptor Run on May 2nd, and the As If Festival is working forward in doing their 90s event, which will happen May 15th.
Excellent. Those of us from the 90s will have to make sure to go and check that out. If you're just now tuning in, you are listening to The Break Room. I'm Melissa Whistle, Communications Director for the City of St. Augustine. And this week I have Kim Mayo in studio talking about the city's events and special events permitting. Kim is the city's event and venue coordinator. Kim, in talking about these events, I know people are concerned about the crowds and the safety protocols. We, the city, don't have a lot of individual control over that because the events, they're leasing our field. But they do have to follow some guidelines. Can you give our listeners a little bit of an insight into what they might be able to expect or how that works?
Yeah, so the CDC came out with a manual, Events and Gathering. It's a readiness and planning tool. That tool has a checklist, and we're asking each event to follow that checklist and follow these protocols and let us know if they're planning on proceeding forward with their event with these protocols in place. It's really important that they're following these CDC recommendations. It's everything from temperature checks to sanitation, distancing, to keep their events from being an event that would have negative impact on the city.
Right. So that's up. So just to be clear too, I want to make sure our listeners understand we do rent the field to the event planners, and they are the ones responsible ultimately for making sure that they're keeping their event safe.
That is correct.
Excellent. Now, one thing we did miss out on last year, we lost out on Concerts in the Plaza. It was going to be our 30th
Yes.
anniversary. So
Yes.
you and I have talked about this. Is this year our 30th or 31st? Because the 30th technically didn't happen, but we are returning. You've started to build the calendar for Concerts in the Plaza.
I have. I've already scheduled half of the calendar. I'm working on the rest. We're really excited to bring Concerts in the Plaza back, and I know the community will be happy to have our concerts return as well. It's always a popular event. It's a great time to come out, put down a blanket, listen to your favorite local artist, and it's extremely popular, and I'm expecting a good year with social distancing.
Great.
And mask wearing when appropriate.
And when does Concerts in the Plaza, tell us again, when does Concerts in the Plaza happen?
So it happens every Thursday, from the Thursday after Memorial Day to the Thursday before Labor Day. So every Thursday evening from 7 to 9, we have a different local artist performing.
And we always get those phone calls noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock when we get those morning showers and everybody panics. Are we having concerts? Are we having concerts? How do our listeners and our viewers and our attendees to Concerts in the Plaza know if the concert's happening?
Well, we put it on our website, citystaug.com,
Right.
and we notify everyone if we cancel. I'll be honest, if we cancel, it's last minute. And it's
Right.
not really us canceling. We kind of leave it up to the local artists to make that call because they have equipment. They may have a major drum set. Anything metal is certainly a concern if we're having lightning. That is the major incident that would cause us to cancel.
And oftentimes it'll be raining and it will stop by 4 or 5 o'clock even. We have been known to not cancel even if it's been raining a good portion of the day because it's still, you can still come down and bring your chair.
This is Florida, and we know that the weather 1 minute will not be the weather in 10 minutes.
Right. We don't want to cancel those great concerts if we don't have to.
And if we do cancel, we try to put them at the end of the season so that those artists still have an opportunity to perform.
And then that really extends the season into September.
Yes.
Usually, right.
Yes, and that has happened a couple times in my time here.
Parking, what's the recommendation for parking if I want to come down for concerts in the Plaza?
Well, the recommendation for anywhere in the city is always the parking garage. We love to see people use the parking garage, and it's a short walk from there.
Right.
If the ability to walk that far is not there, you can usually find some parking closer
Around.
to the event.
And one last question I'm sure our listeners are burning to know when we're talking about events. The big question, 4th of July. Any hints about what we might be seeing for 4th of July?
I guess I'll give you some.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you the
Give
discussions.
us a sneak peek.
The discussions are really still in the planning process. We haven't made a confirmed decision going forward, but we're hopeful that we can have the event. So we have started planning, but it's going to be a little bit longer before we can actually confirm that event based on some factors that are really important for both the city and the county with discussions going forward.
Right. There's a lot more to it than just COVID, shall we say.
Absolutely.
COVID plays in a factor to it, but we want to see things come back.
We do. We do want to have that opportunity, but we want to do it if we can do it safely.
Lots of people like to come for 4th of July.
Yeah, and not just from St. Johns County. It's popular all over.
And you can't just say we're at capacity.
Right.
We
You
have,
can't close the city.
You can't close the gate and say you can't come.
Right.
So, all right, well, we will have you back, I'm sure, to talk a little bit more in depth about concerts in the Plaza. I'd love to hear about the lineup. And then hopefully we'll have some more details about what's coming up for 4th of July and how that programming is starting to look.
All right, and we'll be aware there are other events that will be going on around the city that are in the process of being permitted.
Okay.
And St. Augustine Easter Week has some events planned for the gazebo, including a new royal family.
Great.
They'll knight the new royal family, and then the Easter promenade will happen on Easter Day. Although the parade isn't happening, they do have some other events that are worth seeing.
And we can find that on the calendar.
We can on citysainaug.com. I have a calendar. Well, I don't have it, but I maintain the calendar at the bottom of the page that can tell you all the events that are permitted to go on in the city.
Excellent. citysainaug.com, and look at that city calendar, public events down at the bottom to see what we have coming up on the calendar for events this spring. Kim, lots of great information. Thank you for coming.
All right. I look forward to coming back and talking about more.
Can't wait. As we wrap up another edition of The Break Room, I hope we answered your questions. If we didn't, take a minute and drop an email. You can send that to info@citysainaug.com. Let us know what we missed or if there's someone you would like to hear from. If you are not yet receiving the city's free every Friday e-newsletter, News and Notes, it's easy to do so. To sign up for News and Notes, text City St. Aug to the number 22828. That is the word City St. Aug to the text number 22828. We want to keep you informed about what's happening in and around the city, and most importantly, that you hear it here from the people doing the work and making it happen every day. Remember that in order to stay connected, you need to be connected. So be sure you like us and follow us on all of our social media platforms. You will find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at City St. Aug. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.
You've been listening to The Break Room, a weekly program addressing projects and programs offered by the City of St. Augustine. Join us each week as the city's communications director, Melissa Wissel, has in-depth conversations with the people who make our town work to meet the needs of our community. The Break Room is produced by communications specialist for the City of St. Augustine, Cindy Walker, and engineered by Flagler College communication major, Lily McNeil. See you at this time next week for another edition of The Break Room.